Hey everyone, it's Dave Asprey. I'm here to record my quarterly box, and Alan here noticed I was in the backyard, which is the first time I've ever recorded anything in the backyard for you guys. So I thought you might appreciate just checking that out and seeing it. So Alan came out to see what was going on. Alan, say hi.
Hi.
All right, give me a high five. All right, you want to go play in the fairy forest?
Yeah.
All right, go for it. I'm pretty stoked about this box, and it was a lot of fun to put it together for you. I'm going to go ahead and open the one that arrived. Mine just came in. Of course, I know what's in it because, well, I picked it all out, but still, it's kind of cool when you see it all together. You can see mine says cleared. I shipped it to Canada because, well, that's where I live, and we're willing to do that. So, slice this guy open. I love the tape that they put on here, and if you're enjoying the view here, that is literally like what I see in the new biohacking facility. All right, another sneak preview here. Well, this was unplanned, and I may regret this from a video perspective, but check this out. That over there, that is the new biohacking facility. Bam. See that little thing over there? That's where the float tank is going to be. It's going to be awesome. And this is where I live. Who knows? Maybe sometime we'll set it up so you guys can come up here. At least some of you can come up. I'm really hoping to be able to host a few people at my place. All right, where were we? We're opening the box. Now, I happen to have a fire pit right over there that you didn't see yet. So I love it. We're not using styrofoam. Paper. Paper is good. Now, first thing you're going to get in here is you're going to get the MobilityWOD Supernova, or Gemini, it's called. One of the things that has affected me a lot over the years is you get muscle pain and joint pain, and I've managed to hack a lot of it by changing how I move, but also changing what I eat, because it turns out a lot of these things you get are just, they're caused by chronic inflammation, or there's even like pain in a muscle that could be an organ system referral. Something irritates your gut and you feel it elsewhere in your body. For instance, one of the reasons that I had such bad knee pain was that that's actually correlated with adrenal insufficiency. So if your adrenals are off, you may have unstable knees. This isn't commonly talked about, but it's documented in things like Eastern medicine. So the MobilityWOD Supernova, which is this thing, is kind of like one of those big foam rollers, but it's much smaller. It's knobby. You can check this thing out. You either got this or you got the Gemini, which is a similar item, but it's one you can use for trigger point, myofascial release, and for tissue massage. So this is the sort of thing used to move the muscles around. And the Gemini is more grip, whereas this is the Supernova. And you'd use that for more targeted trigger point work and use it around your thoracic spine. It's like a double lacrosse ball. The Supernova has teeth that get a higher percentage of grip and shearing force to separate layers of myofascial tissue. Now, if you've ever seen some of the other stuff that Kelly Starrett, who runs MobilityWOD, he's been a guest on the show, that he does, like he'll do stuff, people are like crying, it hurts so bad, but they're fixed in like one session because of myofascial release. So this myofascia is something that surrounds all of your muscles, all of your organs even. And what's going on is that fascial tissue is made out of collagen, and when it gets little scars or adhesions, you get what you perceive as pain, and you get limitations in your free range of motion. I have not that many of those left because I've worked to dissolve them and because I've done some of this work, but I certainly have some, and when they're there, you want to be able to release them with something like this. If you haven't checked out Kelly's books, I really like Kelly. He's just an amazing guy and really into the functional movement side of things. If you're moving wrong, you're not getting it right. Like, you really need to get that fixed. So that's what to do. If someone gets broken because they overdid it in CrossFit, Kelly's where you go to do CrossFit and get the form right. So I think his technology on these is really cool. When you check out the one you get, you'll see that they thought about the grip pattern, and these are also not like super high toxic stuff. Like some of the ones I've received as tests have been just not from Kelly, but have been stinky. These smell like rubber, but not like some sort of Chinese synthetic plant. So I think this is a really high quality thing, and I really value having this. If you have the Bulletproof Vibe and you put one of these on the Vibe and like sit on it or put it anywhere, it just drives into the muscle, and it's a really intense thing. It's actually kind of crazy. Let's see what else we have going on in here. Oh, this is something. I didn't know if I'd be able to pull this off for you, but we managed to do it, and really great thanks to Under Armour. This is the Armourbite mouthpiece. Now you might be going, I'm not a boxer, I'm not a whatever, why do I need a mouthpiece? Like, Dave, you're a dork. And okay, I own that, I'm a dork. But here's the deal. If you heard the podcast I had with Dr. Jennings, you saw him realigning my jaw. And if you've ever had the chance to talk with me like over dinner or something, I sometimes show people my rear molars that are about 2 millimeters higher than they used to be because I have caps added to align my jaw so my nervous system would work the way I wanted it to work. What you heard about with Dr. Jennings with Substance P is that Substance P is the primordial pain signaling molecule in the body. And when you have inflammation in your bite, your Substance P levels go up. And that triggers just about all the bad things that can happen from chronic inflammation in the body. Slugs have Substance P in them, like it's that primordial. And one of the bigger influencers that no one talks about is your jaw. However, this isn't exactly a new biohack. Here's some like crazy research, stuff that I experienced. The Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research looked at what happens when you use a bite guard like this one that Under Armour provided for us. 51% decrease in cortisol. Your stress hormones go down by that much? Yeah, I didn't see exactly that drop that I correlated, but I experienced a drop in my overall stress and a drop in my cortisol when I stopped tweaking on my trigeminal nerve because I realigned my jaw. 29% more O2 expelled 21% more CO2 from the Journal of the American Dental Association. Sleep apnea changes, massive changes in the way you breathe by just shifting the jaw a little bit. Like our faces are kind of malformed because of what our grandmothers and our mothers ate and just because of the world we live in. So you're born with a collapsed upper palate, and little tweaks like this, like it's a big difference. And when you try this, I think you're going to feel it. And if you're into sports, 17% increase in muscular endurance, and that comes from the American College of Sports Medicine. So more endurance, more oxygen, less stress. This is an amazing biohack. I sleep with a custom bite guard every night, and I wore one during the day as I was realigning my jaw for 3 years, and I got the results. Like, this is so cool. Let's talk about reaction time, which is something that I actually measure on a relatively regular basis on myself just to see, am I as sharp as I feel? And reaction time is a good way to do that. 12% reduction in reaction time from the Compendium of Continuing Education in Dentistry. So dentists, high performance hacking, who would have thought they go together? Well, that's biohacking for you. What this thing does is it helps you prevent clenching of your teeth. It keeps your airflow open. Now, I mentioned that this has been done before. Here's where. Greek athletes, and like we're talking back in Roman times also, not just Greek athletes, but Roman athletes and Vikings, who are kind of some of the original badasses. My wife, who's Swedish, likes to remind me of that on a regular basis. And she likes to remind everyone from Norway that Sweden, well, anyway, never mind. But what they used to do was chew on bits of leather to increase focus and performance. And one of the things that you could do, even if you didn't have this amazing new bite guard, is if you take a popsicle stick and you put it on one side versus the other, especially if you have any sort of jaw tension or pain, you can, and just bite really gently, you'll feel a shift. And sometimes you can feel it in your brain. Like you feel different, profoundly different, just by this slight, even, 2 sheets of paper's worth can have an effect on your nervous system. So this is something that's just worth trying out, and you just may be shocked at how you feel. Plus, it's a cool yellow color. I mean, how could you go wrong? So I was stoked that we could get this. This is not a small item for you, but it's so worth it. Next thing in here, instant Quadriceps. Now, this is a cool form factor. It's packets of Cordyceps. So you just open these up, dump it into hot water, and you get Cordyceps. And this is kind of an amazing herb, and it's one that is getting harder to get because of global warming. It was saved only for Chinese emperors once, many, many years ago. And that was because it was really scarce. And it grows on the backs of caterpillars, only on caterpillars. So this is a very unusual fungus, and it grows in Nepal, Tibet, and some parts of China at high altitudes. And the reason it's getting more scarce is that with global warming, some of the temperatures required to make the caterpillars grow aren't happening. And there's also definitely, it's a difficult thing to cultivate. So this is wildcrafted stuff. And the way they did this was the way they discovered this was the way original biohackers do that. They just looked around and said, wow, sheep who eat these things are stronger, have more vigor. Let's try it on ourselves. And they noticed a difference. This is not a stimulant like coffee, which has caffeine in it, although I would argue coffee is also an adaptogen. This is a pure adaptogen. And that helps you deal with the stress of exercise. And what adaptogens do is they let you ramp up your stress response more quickly and then stop it more quickly. So if you use this before you go into combat, which is one of the things they would do with adaptogenic herbs, you could actually take it, and then you would be able to experience more stress more intensely when you needed to, and then back off when you were done. I take adaptogens every day. I have for 15 years, and Cordyceps is a very potent one, and I have not found in my own experience that it makes candida or anything else worse. I'm a fan of medicinal mushroom use. I'm not a fan of regular nutritional mushroom use for a variety of things that are in the Bulletproof Diet book, which if you haven't bought it yet, please do. We're still working on our sales numbers so that the next book, when it comes out, will be the right size and scope. So if you haven't checked it out, check out the book. Other things about Cordyceps. The Tibetans started writing about this in the 1400s, but at that time they said it had been used for thousands of years. So this has like 600-700 years of work behind it. And let's see, works on the HPA axis, the pituitary adrenal axis, and the hypothalamus. Those three have to be in balance because the hypothalamus talks to the pituitary, which talks to the adrenals. And if you get a mismatch in the way those three communicate at any level, you can have things broken. Side note here, if you're exposed to inhaled environmental toxic molds, it can cause you to have an autoimmune response against your pituitary gland. So if you're dealing with stuff like that, an adaptogenic herb that helps you balance that can actually be beneficial. It boosts ATP and cellular energy, prevents fatigue, increases endurance, and it helps you with sleep. So I would say Cordyceps is not something I take on a daily basis, but it's something that I keep in my kit at home for increasing my health. Let's see. There's some evidence that it may actually fight cancer, supports kidney and adrenal health, some of the stuff I won't even remember because respiratory health by relaxing bronchial walls. And the way you should make this is just hot water, but not quite boiling. You don't want to kill it, you don't want to cook it, you want to steep it, and then I blend it in with a small hand blender. So as a matter of fact, when I take it, I put brain octane in as well in the water, and I blend it up because brain octane is a great carrier oil to help you get the full value from your herbs. I've only taken this twice without brain octane. I just put like a teaspoon in there and I blend it up, and it really increases absorption. So you will not find a lot of Western research on this. A lot of it's research that's done in China, but it's done by scientists and it's done on animals, but I think there's a good body of evidence for you to check this stuff out. We also have in here the Berkeley Test nitric oxide strips. Nitric oxide is what gives you, the pump. By the way, this pump today came from my electrical stimulation. I also took a little bit of citrulline, which is an amino acid that does increase nitric oxide levels. So this also could probably give you this kind of pump. There's maybe another kind of pump, as in vasodilation, as in if you wake up with a kickstand, your nitric oxide is probably working pretty well. And if that didn't make any sense to you because you're one of the women getting the box, just ask the guy in your life. He'll tell you. There are numerous good quality studies from journals showing that when you elevate nitric oxide, you get better cardiovascular health, better blood flow, you get a longer time to exhaustion, better anaerobic endurance, your vascular system doesn't age as much. And here's the deal. The bioactive precursors to nitric oxide come from eating leafy greens like spinach, arugula, lettuce, celery, bok choy, even kale and beets. And kale and beets are higher in oxalic acid than many of those others, but you can still eat them. You just eat them properly by draining off the oxalic acid when you cook them. So there's actually one of the reasons you might consider those things. If you're not getting enough leafy greens because you've fallen too far into the meat side of things, you can actually tell because your nitric oxide levels are lower. You can use saliva testing strips to tell you what's going on here. And these little things from the Berkeley Test will tell you. If you're low and you use one of these tests and it shows that you're low, then you could try some amino acids and you can do some research about other ways to increase nitric oxide levels or just eat more vegetables. If you use Scope or an alcohol-based mouthwash, you probably are harming your nitric oxide levels. If you use hydrogen peroxide like I do, you're probably not. It turns out that the bacteria in your mouth start the nitric oxide production. So this is really important. You're going to see a lot over the next 2 years about nitric oxide as a signaling molecule that is massively underappreciated because it has a short life in the body. Terribly important thing, just at the cutting edge of biohacking. Oh, here's the other thing. I mentioned the Gemini earlier. I didn't see it under the edge here. I was hoping I got both of them in here. The Gemini, you got either this or you got the Supernova. This is the other one. This rolls along your spine. So these are both just awesome little things you can use. And if you have someone special, use it on them too. They like it. All right. What else do we have going on here? All right. We should have, here we go, some BioCreatine from our friends at Natural Stacks. Creatine is really, really important because if you're over 30, it actually increases IQ in some tests. So creatine is, the pump and for getting water into your muscles. That's good, but that's actually not the main reason you take it. You take it for enhancing the mitochondrial function for the Krebs cycle. So I take creatine on a daily basis because I travel a lot. I oftentimes don't take powders. Bags of white powder tend to break open in your luggage, although I travel with lots of those too. I try to minimize it. So what you want to do with this stuff is mix it in according to the 4 capsules kind of size, and just do that once or twice a day and see if you feel a difference. You may feel it in your workouts, you may feel it in your sleep, but anytime you can upgrade your mitochondria, you win. So creatine is like an old school bodybuilder thing, except it's actually more of a cognitive thing. So I'm a fan of any way you can get creatine into your body. There's a little bit of salt in here, which is kind of cool because creatine likes to have salt. If you're on the Bulletproof diet, you're not salt deficient anyway, but a little bit of salt with creatine is a good idea. And they include some fenugreek, which activates insulin receptors, which is funny because one of the old ways you would take creatine was with orange juice, and we're not going to be doing orange juice on the Bulletproof diet. You don't want all that fructose cooking your liver and your arteries. So what I would recommend you do there is give this stuff a try and just see if you feel a difference. You may notice multiple differences both cognitively and physically. Speaking of this, we also have in here a couple vials. I just included this at no cost because it's so cool. This is the new Unfair Advantage. If you haven't seen this, these guys are basically like little mitochondria oxygen tanks, like little scuba tanks for your mitochondria. And what you do is you just shake it, open it up, and swallow it. It tastes like fruit, like it's a good taste. It's sweetened with xylitol. It's safe. You feel it usually within about 5 minutes, usually up here in your head. It spreads. You have the most mitochondrial density in the prefrontal cortex at the front of your head. You sort of feel it like a warmth spreading. You may feel it here because you have a lot of mitochondria in the cardio system, and then you just kind of feel it everywhere, like a feeling of wellness and energy that lasts for about 6 hours. It's the world's first whole body nootropic. Like it activates the cells everywhere, but because you have more of those cells in your brain, you really feel it. If you're doing heavy duty brain training, like I just spent the last 3 days doing a brush up at 40 years of Zen, huge difference in how I felt there. It was really amazing. So we've got some samples and a 15% discount code for you on that stuff. 5 people got a golden ticket where I just threw in a full box of Unfair Advantage. And check it out. If you've never seen this, it's like playing with Transformers. I love this thing. It's the coolest ever from the way of packaging goes. So this is the most important supplement I've ever made from a capability standpoint, and I'm blown away by what it does. I just wanted you to try it so you get a chance to see what it does for you. If you're under 25, you may not feel it as much. Some people, it dramatically changes their life under 25. Other people, they say, I don't really feel it. So if your mitochondria are already rocking it, you get a boost. If your mitochondria are wobbly, oh my God, it changes everything. And if you take it regularly, it helps you grow new mitochondria, which is kind of a cool deal. You're also going to find that there's 5 boxes in this, which is a good number, that include the Powerlung, something else I've been a fan of, something we've got on the site. The Powerlung here, it is weightlifting for your lungs. And when you do it, it makes you a better speaker, a better singer, a better orator, but it also it gives you interstitial muscles right here that are you can feel it. So sometimes I do this while I'm on the Bulletproof Vibe, and I'm sort of like blowing as hard as I can and vibrating, and I'm just trying to pack as much in just to stimulate the body as much as I can. So I really value what this does. It's a unique feeling to have all that resistance, but to not feel like you're going to blow your lungs out. So the muscles get stronger around the lungs, and this can even change your VO2 max. And one lucky ticket gets a Marc Pro, which is one of the electrical stimulation units that you can work with. And these things are things you may have seen me using in videos. It's one of several different types. I tend to use an unavailable on the market Russian prototype sometimes, but when I travel, oftentimes I'll bring the Marc Pro along with me because it's small, it's compact, and it's got multiple settings that are really useful. So if you want to just increase circulation and you're at your hotel and you travel all day and you have a little electrical stimulation unit, you'd be amazed how fast you can speed recovery, even from a flight or from a workout. And if you're trying to do workouts and flights at the same time, and you're one of those I fly everywhere and I work out all the time, you really want to look at electrical stimulation to change your recovery or your warm-up time. So I included one of those for people. Guys, I would love to send all of the big toys to everyone. I just don't know how to make that work in a $100 box. This is definitely way over the $100 value. Every time I put one of these together, I look at how to provide a lot of value for you, how to get you something that you maybe haven't learned about, something you maybe don't know about yet, but something that would be meaningful for you, something that will get you thinking, get you moving, get your brain going. And I love the feedback from these. I actually am having way more fun doing this than I really thought I would. And I'm all in on this. So give me your feedback. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. And I will work to, on the next box, make it even more tailored for what you care about. And give me some feedback too on, okay, so we randomly sent someone one really big item. Are you guys cool with that? And do you want no one to get the big items? Stuff like that really helps me understand what's valuable to you. And if I do include a big item like that, I really work on ways to make it more accessible to you. Biohacking isn't just for wealthy people. There's a lot you can do for no cost at all. And when you read my work, you see I always include the lowest cost option, even if it's less effective, because when I was 20, I didn't really have the ability to do most of the stuff that I do now. But if I had, it would have changed my life, even if I would have just done a little bit. So on that note, a few of you are also going to be lucky and get another Epic bar. That was really popular last time. We had a few left over, so we just kind of randomly sprinkled those throughout. Extra free bonus. And if you want to check out that Marc Pro, the electrical stimulation device, you can go to their website. You can use the code BPE, as in Bulletproof Executive, and we'll give you a good discount there just to make it a little bit more accessible. This is not a hard sell at all. Just if you want to try eStim, this is a useful, affordable way to do it, and we brought the cost down a little bit for you. That said, this is everything in the box. You guys see my backyard. It's January or February, whatever it is, and I'm not wearing shoes. So I've been earthing this whole time, and it's actually kind of cold because I live on Vancouver Island. It's up north, so I've got a little bit of my cold thermogenesis activating my circadian rhythm for winter, but I'm also getting some sunshine, so I got my vitamin D. Like, I win on every level from the way I recorded this video. Have an awesome quarter, and I look forward to seeing you when I record the next video for you for the next box. I'm already getting really stoked about what's coming in for that one for you. So stay tuned, resubscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.